Hola, I'm Borja Holke, Holke79. I'm a graphic designer from Spain. I want to thank again the organization and Instituto Cervantes from Spain. Also, I feel like this big being here because all these people talked here before. Also, Angela, I'm a big fan of her, so imagine how I feel coming from Spain to speak here after the Designer Republic, Tony Jones, back. So congratulations to the festival. All that is online on Mouvo TV, so I think it's just amazing. Again, thanks, Instituto Cervantes. And thanks to this lady here, this is Victoria, project manager. She's here, I think she was searching these guys that went after, before her. So yeah, she was. I think at the end you found them, right? Yeah. So because I really hate talking about myself, I just screen recorded this Pinterest board so that you understand who I am. The day I die, I want to live there, okay? So when I die, there's a way to live in that board. I'll be there with all these things. And also, when I get old, I really hope to be like this guy. It's going to be difficult, but let's see how it goes. So, and also because I really hate to talk, really, I'm going to play some of my works out of context and in complete silence. How cool is silence? You saw that at the beginning. Life is messy, yeah. So this is what I do. I started 20-something years ago, not knowing shit about graphic design or anything, just making it up, really. So after 20-something years, I came to this, which is I came to the point where I'm just using all the skills and doing what I like, which is animating typography, mainly. It's not only what I do, but yeah. And this is how it looks from my point of view when I'm working. So you can think, oh, how exciting is that? That's cool, but also it's a little bit just technical. Let's put it that way. So I touch a lot of buttons to see if things work. I'm not the most technically gifted person, let's put it that way. So it feels to me just like being here. So you are like, what I'm doing. But the good thing is nobody's going to die. If I push the wrong button, it's like, yeah, I have other buttons to push. And yeah, if you want to follow me on Instagram, I upload a lot of stuff there. I like this one. It's very obvious. So yeah, it's what I do. It's like, whenever I have some time, I'm always kind of exploring and doing things and uploading them. And I mean, for me, it is kind of easy because I came from making 1 minute and a half explainer videos, so doing these little short animations is not much work. So I'm from Spain, I'm very lazy, I like to live life, don't work too much. So also I have a YouTube channel, you can follow me there too, where you can, or maybe not, learn 1 or 2 things. So this is me in my home. I'm also a staff member, very proud staff member of ManvsMachine. I work for them, for the studio in London. I don't know how I did that, but yeah, I work for them. From Madrid, which is very, very convenient because I have my siesta every day and all that. So it's the perfect colliding of British and Spanish things. And this is the perfect summary of my graphic design career, professional career. I think it's just that, always like trying to keep going. And I'm showing you this because some of you maybe are students or are starting to work, and you are like, you want advice? There's no advice. Keep going. And also rest sometimes and stuff, so it's not that hectic, but yeah. That's like how it looked, okay, all these 20 years. Also, I wanted to share some of my initial heroes and the stuff that I really liked when I was, even before being a graphic designer. And this is one of my favorite pieces of, let's say, design ever. Pump up the volume. Yeah. Also, I think Angela is going to like this one. It's like when I was a kid in the 80s, okay, I'm that old, we had Sesame Street in Spain too, okay? And some of the stuff was like kind of translated from the US, but this was directly. So I really liked this piece, and I was very into this kind of Pink Panther animation, all this stuff, and these are the things that really got stuck in my mind in a way. The Foo Fighters there also. And also, when I was starting in the early 2000s, I was a big fan of David Carson because I felt like he had this approach to graphic design, which was in the middle of art and graphic design, very instinctive and impulsive. Yeah, I needed to do that. Reagan, I did that. And also, this is directly comes from an email from David Carson I made to work with him once. And it really got into my mind. It's way too polite right now. I remind that to myself a lot of times when I look at my work. It's like it doesn't say anything. So it's like the voice of David Carson. It's way too polite right now. So I changed it so that it's a little bit more interesting. And yeah, it comes to this. Okay, I'm going to talk about space. I know this event this is the topic of this year. So space in the sense of how I build my kinetic type pieces. And it is a little bit like this. It is always the idea. This is very obvious, but I'm going to explain it, okay? It's no bullshit. So the idea, then the concept, which is something a little bit more specific, and then that gets into words, okay? And then with all that, I do the animation and typography together. Pretty obvious, but I'm going to talk like 40 minutes about that, so it's going to get interesting. And let's say that this is an idea, violence, an awful idea. Really hate this thing, but it exists, unfortunately, in the world. So if you think about a concept of violence in the form of a movie, I think this La Haine by Mathieu Kassovitz, is a hell of a movie that talks about violence, and that's a concept. A concept is, the idea is violence, but in the form of art, with cinematography, with the actors, with the script, with everything that's getting something, it's becoming something specific, okay? So yeah, the idea is violence, then in this case, the concept is the movie La Haine. If you didn't watch that movie, you need to see it today or tomorrow, okay? So if you translate that into kinetic type, that can be it, okay? The idea is violence, then I animate it in a way that expresses that. So this is like what I call, it's very little here, the ideal process, okay? It looks very nice. Not always like that. So it's the ideas, I have an idea, then I can kind of, okay, I can use this type, that, so it starts to get into a concept, then I need to put it into words, then I sit down, I animate, I choose the typography and everything, and upload it to Instagram, and go to have a nap. Doesn't work like that always. But I really like this quote by a very important person, David Lynch. This is wonderful. I really share it always because I feel this was also one of my heroes. Yeah, you can read it. I'm going to be in silence, so we all can appreciate it. But then myself, the way ideas come to me is here. Okay, I'm not that profound. I'm not that such a master as David Lynch, and it's no joke. Victoria can tell you all. When I'm in the shower, ideas come to me. So it is just like that. So this is just to tell you, you need to be aware where maybe when you are, I'm not going to say, but yeah, all those moments where ideas come to you, you need to be alert, okay, to that. So then I want to talk a little bit about technology, the technology that I use, and one is typography, obviously. And yeah, that's a technology in itself. You have all these attributes like baseline tracking, leading, variable fonts, which is something that I really like. And you can do things with variable fonts. Those of you that are designers know what this technology is about. It started in 2016, and it is based in axes. So, for example, for the weight axis, you have two extremes, and for animation, that's incredible because you have a slider and you can animate things. This is a very boring example, but this is better, okay? So the more extreme the axis is, the more playful it can get. So again, I'm from Spain, I'm lazy, I have a slider, I can animate things, so I love variable fonts. And then I found this, which is fantastic. So variable fonts can be anything from animating the weight of a letter to things like that. So this is also a variable font for pictograms. So yeah, it's like a lot of cool stuff can happen inside a font in this case. And this is me when I download a variable font. I'm just like, then it gets a little bit ugly, but yeah, it's like at the moment I download, it's like so nice. I'm going to do so cool stuff with this. But also typography is pure shapes in a way. So you can take an A, very humble A, and you can start animating it in many different ways. You can make a spiral like this. So this is another great exercise. Just to grab a letter and start messing around with it in many different ways. So at the end, it's very simple. Okay, so you can go to After Effects or Cavalry and start throwing effects there and see what happens. Remember myself and me with the buttons there? So that's me, playing buttons. So stuff like this, that seems a little bit like if you think you know these, like the Dassault ships of the Second World War, that kind of stuff. I like that a lot. Also, we animators, let it play again because we do a lot of noises. So, plop, something like that. So that's important to know. When you are animated, you do noises to accompany your stuff. So more stuff. If someone of you is epileptic or have to please be aware of, don't look at this. And yeah, all that playing with shapes comes from the work of, for example, Neville Brody in the 90s, when the digital explosion of typography came and they were like tweaking shapes of the letters and all that because the digital typography gave them this freedom, okay, to do that. I really like Blur by Neville Brody. It's such a cool font. And also, again, David Carson, Mr. David Carson, which is a master of tweaking letters and changing the shape of them. And I think I'm really into remix culture, which is just grabbing something and tweaking it and shoving it out. I think that's very nice. So all this playing with the shape of letters is the limits of readability. Okay, so that scary thing, but no, that's not scary. So that's even not funny. But yeah, it's like it's very interesting to play with letters, pushing them into a place where they are super expressive but barely readable. So I like that kind of thing. So playing with the shape of letters, you can turn a black letter like this into something way more modern, just placing some circles in there and animating them. I really like that. Just grabbing something that exists and tweaking it and twisting it in a way that kind of you create something fresh, not new, because I think there's nothing new out there. Also, you can play with circles on top of letters, yeah, stuff like this. So all this falls into the category of playing with the shape of letters. And I'm telling you that because it's important whenever you are kind of dry or you don't know what to do, to have this kind of systems of working. So one day maybe I have no idea of what to do, so I go and download a nice font, and I start from there, or I'm like, okay, I see a book of David Carson around, and I'm like, I'm going to play with tweaking letters. So there are kind of formulas to develop your work, and that's because it's like inspiration is not a thing always. So it is important that you have your own formulas to get into keep working. And yeah, this example here, I find it interesting because we animators play a lot with memory in a way where, because you are watching all these series of characters, you start understanding what each of those is. So that's very important. That's one of the things that differentiate motion design from, let's call it, static design or graphic design, is that we play with memory and with time. So we can push things a little bit further because you are going to have clues along the animation in this case. I think that's super interesting. So more playing with the shape of letters, weird stuff. I really, I don't have mushrooms or anything, I swear. So also because I've been doing this for 20 years, I also know how to do a little bit of 3D and stuff like that. So, and also, I'm going to keep talking about technology, and the other technology I use is animation. I'm not going to talk about softwares or stuff like that because I think that in a way you can keep jumping between tools, and that's not that important, but it's way more important to understand motion or animation as a broad or general thing. And yeah, this is motion. I mean, motion is moving, animation is like, whenever I teach my students, they tell me like, we don't know what's motion, what's animation. I tell them always like, okay, walk a little bit, dance, that's motion. It's not like it's speed, it's slow, it's choreographies, all that is what's behind motion design. It's not something like weird or obscure, stuff like that. So a flock of birds can inspire you. So everything out there is in motion in a way. So I think that's the important thing, that you have your take on it, and yeah, you go from there. So also, I think it's very, it's not that it's broken, okay? So it's just an example. There are these direct metaphors in motion design. For example, if you look at this, it's obviously that, okay? So it's not rocket science, I do it, so it's not rocket science at all. So, but you need to look at things and figure out what are the patterns, what the things that people understand, and you play with that as an animator. It's not like you make it for the sake of it, but you try to connect things together, okay? So again, this is that, very easy. So, and in my work, for example, here I'm talking about animation, I play a lot with choreography, and because I work with letters, I can have more or less letters. For example, that's very interesting to play with rhythm and the way the animation develops through the whole text. Also, whenever I don't have a lot of letters, I can create repetitions to create these kind of choreographies. Also like a lot to play with bright colors when I say sad things. I think it's cool. And talking about technology in terms of animation, I really like to play with physics and simulations of dynamics, which is, in not all the animation softwares, but yeah, you can find these systems of dynamics and physics which allow you to kind of treat things as if they were in a physical world with inertia and bouncing and all that. It feels super, super kind of, I mean, for me it's magic, obviously, but it's another kind of way of developing animation that's super, super interesting. This plays with that too, so this is also a system of dynamics or physics. The thing with this is I do it and I can look at it, 1,000 times. So simple, so satisfying. And the way I like to do things is when I feel really happy is when I find the animation that really kind of sends the message or kind of makes it more understandable. And yeah, that's a fact. You saw it at the beginning. Nothing was working, so life is messy. And that's the thing. As a motion designer, you need to you have all these skills and all these tools. Then you need to animate something, and you are like, okay, I'm going to animate it like with physics. So it's not something that comes out of the blue, but you have all these things that you used before, and you can connect that, in this case, with a message, which is super cool. That's super easy too. So just to close this chapter about motion and animation, yeah, again, whenever you are drunk, dancing in a club, think that's motion. You can tell your friends, I'm doing motion, I'm animation. So this guy is doing motion too. So we have all the components here. So we have animation, we have typography, which are the two technologies that I use. Then, as I told you before, we have the ideas and the words. And I'm going to mention also, like, you are noticing that English is not my native language. That's the thing. So for me, sometimes words is a little bit difficult because I work in English, but I'm a Spanish native speaker, so that's also a little bit interesting and tricky. And then, yeah, I'm going to talk a little bit about tools, because I assume all of you want to know what I use and stuff like that. It's not that I'm going to talk about software, but the concept that I call good enough technology, okay? So for example, I'm going to talk a little bit about software. I work with Cinema 4D R20, which is like, I think it's 7 years old, something like that. I have a Windows, a very cheap PC, stuff like that. So the thing is whenever I feel like the tool or the software is good enough for me, I don't need to keep looking what's the last thing. So that's not what's going to give you leverage in a way. Maybe for the people that are more technical, that's true, but for me, it's like, if something is working, it works for me, I have all the options I need, and that's important because that's very stressful when you feel like the last version of a software is out there, I need to learn it. You don't need to learn anything new if you are all set with the tools that you have, okay? And that's very important. And yeah, about the camera, I didn't say anything about the camera. I'm an amateur, very bad cinematographer, so I did short films as a cameraman, stuff like that, and this is the thing I have. So when they send me in a banner, it's like, GH5, GH50, I don't have any of that. I have my 4K, super reliable, the lenses, 2 thin lenses I need. I don't want anymore. So I think that's important for all of you to understand. You don't need the last iPhone. You don't need the last this, the last that. You need the thing that works for you, and that's enough, okay? Because the important thing is what you do. For me, it's not the tools. Also, I don't know the time. How much time is it? Sorry, I'm super anxious about these things. Okay, cool. Yeah, sometimes it's like you were there, nobody's there. People left. Yeah, so even if you feel, I think also you are noticing also another trigger of my work as kinetic type animator, doing kinetic type is self-expression. I think that's for me super important. And that's because I'm an introvert, a huge one. I don't know what the fuck I'm doing here. Sorry, I swear once. So yeah, that's the thing. But for me, I look at these things and I feel super kind of inspired. I tend to think of myself, okay, I do this thing, the tradition of politic banners or stuff like that. I like that, it's nice. It's nice to think of your work as you are using text, you are using messaging and graphic design in a way that kind of sometimes I say important things. So look at this. This is amazing. Also, I like this too, obviously. So I always try to bring a little bit of humor into my work. So it's that, but it is also this. So that's another trigger, another thing that really drives my work is like whenever I'm pissed, I'm angry, I feel like so I do a kinetic type piece. So we are watching so many things that really trigger me, and this is one of the most important ones. When I'm angry, I need to do an animation, okay? So for example, I'm going to talk a little bit about the things that I hate the most, okay, in life. I talked before about violence. I really hate these thingies, okay? It's smartphones with all these things inside that are stealing your time. I think you all know that, but it's too much time that we spend here. Also, I hate racism. I really like music. So imagine that, being an introvert and having this tool. I have 60K something followers. I can say stuff, and people, I don't know if they read it, but yeah, it's cool to have that kind of power. So also I grew up in the 80s and the 90s, so I know what this is, and that felt amazing. In the school, people were like, I have this cassette with songs, so that felt like you have a secret track or something. So these days you go alone, you listen to Spotify, that doesn't feel the same. So yeah, that's another thing. And also here I'm going to really vent about AI, because I hate it from the core, okay? I think that, and I'm going to explain it a little bit better. Also, I told you I came from Spain, so I'm very passionate. So let's have a little bit of water. This really makes me angry. So I think artificial intelligence for medical research, science, stuff like that, I'm all for it. Do it for that, but not for design. I think it doesn't belong here. I'm going to make my case. I respect the people that uses it, but I think it's not needed at all. So yeah, this is. I spent one day at the beginning just prompting. I know that there are way more sophisticated ways to use artificial intelligence. I know it, but the main thing that people do is prompting and waiting, and I feel that super draining and super boring. And also I feel like I have no control about it. And I think this is important that we all, I'm super tired of this, the people saying, you cannot stop technology. The genius is out of the bottle. What's that? You need to think, okay? So technology is not how it starts. So imagine this guy, so happy, alone in the road, with this nice car, look at that, but what it becomes. So think about AI, you feel super nice, oh, this is, wow, the results are amazing, the outcome, let's see how it ends. I want to see that, okay? And then I think this is one of the most important questions that you need to make yourself. Who is benefiting? Maybe it's not you, that you think you are doing stuff like took 4 hours in 10 minutes, that's your benefit. I think it's not you, the main one, that is benefiting for this. Also, another question for me is like, less people to do the same work, is that better at all? I think there can be a problem there, maybe. So you need to think about that too. Also, democratizing design, really? You think that's where we are going? What about democratizing power? They're not saying anything about that. Can I be the president of the US and can I prompt something? Even without AI, I'm smarter than this guy, but yeah. So this is my statement, okay? I want graphic design, I want it slow, with people, the more the better, and unique and surprising, okay? This is my thinking. And obviously, people keep saying, you can stop technology and this and that, but if you make your own statement, out there are going to be studios and people that are with you, they want to make things slow and stuff, so say it out loud and don't go through the bottleneck of everyone saying you, okay, you need to use it. You don't want to use it, fuck it. It's not something that do. So yeah, I want graphic design to be human. I think that's kind of important, no? We all can agree on that. So, and I came with this kind of analogy. And for example, if you think about technology, I'm super obsessive, so I'm into knots lately. And I think AI can be like a zip tie, which feels like, okay, oh, this works very easily, but you don't need to know anything to use it. But this is the thing. Knots. You can do so many things with knots, and you can untie it, and it's one rope. So you have kind of the power, and you can do many things. So at the left, you have AI. At the right, you have a skilled graphic designer. Choose your winner, okay? So for me it's not, but yeah. Then I'm going to leave back the AI, sorry for all that venting, but I needed to tell you. Also another field when I express myself is talking about mental health and stuff like that. So we in our family are all a little bit neurodiverse, spicy neurodiverse, they call it. So we are functional, but yeah, things can happen, okay? So also, yeah, I think, I said this, I think, twice, life is messy. Also, I'm very, very much into using social media to ask questions, and sometimes people message me directly and stuff like that, and I think that's super amazing to write to people. I always have time for that, so if you want to write me, direct me on Instagram. Emotions are tricky to handle, for sure. And I think this is my favorite one. One day I was playing with physics, and I was like, okay, I'm going after watching a documentary about a dyslexic person, I can make that an animation where I'm going to try to convey or to represent that feeling. How should be if you are a dyslexic person and you are reading? So I made some iterations, and I really like that. So again, I'm into generating these links between messaging and animation, which I think is super, super nice. So how's the time? Sorry. Good, okay. So it's long, but I hope it's interesting. So yeah, I told you like the thing or the sequence goes from the idea to kinetic type, but sometimes I press some buttons and I'm like, oh, this is super cool, so it goes the other way around. That means that from the technique, then I need to reverse engineer it, and I'm like, okay, I have this cool effect, I'm going to, what can that be? And that's another kind of situation. So when people tell me, I don't know what to do, just fool around, do stuff, and then sometimes it comes from the result to the beginning, and this and that, okay? So when I have this analogy, in Spain we had this Antonio Lamela, architect, crazy guy, in the 70s, and this building is still in Madrid, very changed, but he started doing these Torres de Colón, okay? So he was like, I'm going to do them from the top to the bottom. So, believe it or not, they did it like that in the 70s, from the top to the bottom. So it's kind of, I'm not the same as what I do, but I like this example a lot. This is the guy, okay? A big applause to this guy, Antonio Lamela. So, this is what in Spain we call hold my beer, which is sujétame el cubata. Which is like what? I cannot do a building upside down? Yeah. So imagine this guy, after starting, he was like something like that. So yeah, all that thing is to explain that sometimes I just do something from the effect, I build the whole thing. So for example, here I came with this, and then I kind of borrowed this from the design in the movie. Or another day I was playing with that, and I was like, okay, this can be controlled. So it's, you know, it's like you find something that's cool, and then you try to put some words in there. Also, like, yeah, very obvious one. I had the technique, so the words came after that, stuff like this. For example, this one, I was like, okay, this is a very cool effect. It feels very fragmented and stuff, so I was like, at the end, if we go back to the beginning, I came with the words, and then here, obviously, I'm talking about, the idea is anxiety. And if you are designers, I'm going to give you a lot of anxiety right now. What bad kerning is that? Okay, so now I'm going to talk about commercial projects, because all the previous was the easy stuff, when I do the thing that I want to do without any budget, any limitations. And commercial projects, they feel like this always. They are telling you stuff, and you are trying to understand. And this is the most difficult thing in commercial projects, is to understand what they want. And it comes, you know, in many different forms, but that's the thing. So also, another thing that I hate is this phrase, design is solution to problems. There are no problems. It's not a problem. You know, a problem is cancer, a problem is a war, but graphic design is not solving problems. For me, it's more like having fun within a shared system of rules. That's what I do. And that's why it's so important to understand the client, to talk with them, to try to see, even to see if you can cheat them in a way. So they want this, but maybe I can do that, and it's cool too. So that sort of thing is what graphic design is. Don't think about it as solving problems. That's so boring, you know, like, I mean. And then here I have some different situations, okay? Because you remember at the beginning there was like the idea leads to the concept, but then with clients it's way more messy than that. So sometimes it's like, yeah, they have some references they throw to you, people that, yeah, super cool stuff, we want stuff like that. And other times they only have like something cool, we want something cool, so that's the thing. It's like, it's always, you know, the input from the client is always a little bit different. And in this case, for example, this client from a studio from London, a sound design studio, the LDD, they wanted, it was very open brief, they wanted some text, animated text for their website, and they wanted it to be very creative, unique, and in a way resemble or convey or represent music. So I came with some iterations that are online, and yeah, the extraordinary, so it was this kind of commercial project which is still very playful and very, very cool to do. So this is kind of representing rhythm and sound with motion, which is, you know, you can think about a sound wave and stuff like that. So yeah, we came with different examples. I'm really worried about the time. So, and another commercial project that I want to show you is this one for Olympics. I made this for an advertising agency in Madrid called Barnes. And it was before 2024 Paris Olympics. They had this campaign that was all about trying to make people do exercise and stuff, and it was called Let's Move, so I was in charge of making the end tags. That's the animation that comes at the end. So we made a lot of iterations. At the beginning was, okay, what if we kind of track the letters to some footage or videos of people exercising. So then a little bit of the, yeah, and this is important to watch because readability is important. You can play with letters crazy ways, but then always you need to measure how readable is that. So it's kind of this balance, okay? So at the end, I went for working in Cinema 4D and downloading some rigs from Mixamo, which is a library. These days you can do it even with a smartphone, okay? Like just record the motion of someone. So I attached the letters there, different exercising, this and that. The letters are so exhausted because they never rest. So these are at the end we came with 4 different end tags or iterations for that. One was or kind of breakdancing and stuff. Another was like about kind of a football kind of thing. Yeah, jumping jacks is that, I think. And this one. So I love this. Then it came this girl, amazing performance, you all remember. Yeah, so it was memorable. I think it was because, you know, what we did before inspired her or something. So yeah, Reagan. You remember the name of the girl. So I'm very close to the end. I'm going to talk about some superpowers I have here, okay? So one is the power of trying things out, is the first superpower that I have. It's very important superpower, and it's represented by this GIF. Don't worry, I told you before, you can push the button, nobody's going to die. Another superpower I have is the power of repetition. Very important one. Okay, you need to do things once, then sometimes I go again and check how it was done. Maybe I can tweak it a little bit. So it's important to go back to things, to try and make things better in a way. Also, this one is huge for me. I really don't trust myself. I think I'm crap as a designer, so I'm always second-guessing myself. And that makes me work harder. So Sometimes I work in ManvsMachine, imagine that. So the people around me, they are really, really, really good. So sometimes I end my day and I spend like half an hour, 1 hour just trying to be at the level of these guys. So yeah, this is another superpower. This is the powers of self-doubt. This is me every day. And then I think this is the most important one for any creative person or designer, the power of observation. Curiosity is super, super obvious, but you need to observe even like the work of others, the people on the streets, all that is like the main source of my work. It's like, it's not Instagram or the feed or Pinterest, no, it's just looking at people and watching what they do and stuff like that. So yeah, the power of observation is very important. So these are my 4 superpowers. So then just 2 things is going to be, I don't know how much time it's getting, but yeah, space again. I'm running this thing that's called in Madrid typographic urban safari. And that's connected to space because me being a huge introvert, I wanted to go out in the streets with freaks like me, watching into text, type in the streets, signs like that. So I really, this is, we did that just 3 times. It's not like, because I have not much time, but this is lovely. You can arrange something like that here in Praha, which is, you can gather with people, go around, watch signs, letters in the streets, barrafas, stuff like that. And the important thing is like, I can have like 60-something followers on Instagram, and I would not change that for being with these 3 guys that show up one day in the streets. It's way better, I mean, because at the end, all those 60-something K is not that, I mean, yeah, it's cool, but it's not, it doesn't affect you personally in a way. So yeah, that's super cool. And I wanted to end this because this is sponsored by Instituto Cervantes. I made this piece, it's in Spanish, and it's from the words of Julio Cortázar, which was a fantastic and one of the most important writers in Spanish. So I'm going to play this, and that's going to be the end, I swear.
Todo es distante y diferente y parece inconciliable. Y a la vez todo se da simultáneamente en este momento, que todavía no existe para mí, y que sin embargo el momento en que usted escucha estas palabras que yo grabé en el pasado, es decir, en un tiempo que para mí ahora es el futuro. Juegos de la imaginación dirá el señor sensato que nunca falta entre los locos, como si eso fuera a decir algo, como si supiéramos lo que es un juego en el fondo y sobre todo lo que es la imaginación.
Muchas gracias.
Thank you very much for amazing talk, very honest one. Really appreciate it. It was really nice.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for a reference for Mouvo TV. It's true, there's a lot of content on our YouTube channel, so go ahead and also watch something once you're back home. And also on your KTS YouTube channel that you didn't mention that much, there's a lot of historical references, and also you talking about different inspirations from the past. I have 2 questions regarding this. What made you actually start KTS? And why you're, reviewing this old pieces of work there?
Yeah, KTS is Kinetic Type series. It's just mainly a bunch of tutorials just to teach freely and chaotically people how to animate type. I like free stuff. I'm from Spain, so it's like. So yeah, and then there's this kind of niche in there which is called the pioneers, which is just talking about stuff from more than 100 years ago, which there are a lot of examples, but I think it's important to see from where it comes in a way, and I think that's key, to understand what's the whole history of motion graphics, which is goes way longer back in time than you can think.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And you mentioned that everybody can reach out to you online, and I can say that's true because I'm writing almost every time to Borja, and he replies, so it's.
Yeah.
And but you mentioned, like the social platforms a bit, but you're so active on Instagram and also on Pinterest. So, and you said that like they are.
I'm guilty of that.
It's a lot of time waste. How do you combat that within yourself?
Yeah, that's a good question. I feel like I have kind of a responsibility because I have so many followers. Some people write me and stuff, so I like to. I think that it's a very easy trick, but just use it mainly on your computer, not that much in the smartphone.
Okay.
Which is always on your pocket. Seems like not much, but it makes a big difference. Maybe you are working, you can reply on Instagram and stuff, but whenever you are out in the streets or stuff like that, don't look at Instagram. It doesn't going to help you. I don't do it all the time. I mean, I'm not perfect, but I think that helps a lot. Yes.
Okay. And you also mentioned that you're teaching, and I wanted to ask, as you're kind of specialized, or your profile is specialized in kinetic typography. Do you teach or do you advise students, to be generalists and try to do stuff, or would you send them some specific avenue in motion design, or what is your approach to, especially beginning of the career?
To starting out as in kinetic type specifically, or?
No, it depends. I don't know, how many students you teach and what are then where they end up afterwards. But do you always tell them start with everything, be generalist, or should they pick already a niche they follow?
I think the most important thing is to have very basic, very good grounding in graphic design if you want to be a motion designer, because at the end, I think there's not such a thing as motion designer these days. You are a graphic designer that animates. And in the past, you could be not that good designing, but you can get away because you are animating it. But I think these days it's more and more you need to be a good graphic designer that animates, and that's very important to have the basics about color, typography, composition, all that, which I struggled the past 20 years to get to some place. But yeah, I think that's also not kind of thinking always about technique, software, and stuff like that, more going into the basics of graphic design, which is always going to keep you alive.
Nice.
So to say, yeah.
Thank you. Do we have any questions from the audience? Yeah, can we get there a microphone?
Quiet.
Hello, so thank you for the presentation, it was very interesting. And I know you don't like to talk about software much, but early in the presentation there was a segment where you were editing some attributes on the left side, and there was some typography that was being deformed in real time. I'm very interested to know what that was.
Say that again, I'm sorry, I didn't...
There was a segment early in the presentation where you were editing some attributes, and the typography was changing in real time.
Yeah.
I'm very interested to know what that software was.
Yeah, that's Cavalry. That's a 2D software, which is now, it was bought by Canva. Let's see how that goes. But it's called Cavalry. It has a free version, which is full of stuff. It's a very good one to start out with, Cavalry. And also the way it approaches animation is very procedural in a way, very, very good for explorations.
Okay, thank you.
No worries.
Right, do we have any more questions? If not, then thank you very much for the talk again.
Thank
It was
you.
really, really great to have you.